They may be small, but carry around a big heart for people. Coming up on this episode of the Paw Report, we'll meet the muscle behind the Miniature Horsepower Therapy Program. Stay with us.
The Castle in Mattoon, Illinois, a gaming bar serving the Mattoon area since 1929. Full bar, draft beer, allocated bourbons, rotating daily specials, APA pool leagues, darts, and more. Monthly craft cocktail nights, open mic nights, and karaoke weekly. The Castle's lineup of concerts and events are on their Facebook.
The Paw Report on WEIU is supported by Rural King, America's farm and home store, livestock feed, farm equipment, pet supplies, and more. You can find your store and more information regarding Rural King at ruralking.com.
Dave's Decorating Center is a proud supporter of the Paw Report on WEIU. Dave's Decorating Center features the Mohawk Smart Strand Silk Forever Clean Carpet. Dave's Decorating Center, authorized Mohawk Color Center in Charleston.
Welcome back to this episode of the Paw Report. I'm your host, Kelly Goodwin. And no, we are not in the studio for this episode. We have packed up the gear and headed north to Champaign County to a beautiful farm here in the area. And our special guest for this episode is Sarah Nixon, the owner, founder, director, the grand poobah, so to speak, of Miniature Horsepower, the equine therapy program that we're going to talk about today. Thank you so much for inviting us here to this little piece of paradise, and your two special friends behind us that will probably be joining us all throughout the episode. Sarah, tell us about yourself. The first question is always the easiest. Introduce yourself to the viewers.
Thank you. Well, thank you for being here. And my name is Sarah Nixon. I am the founder and the director of Miniature Horsepower, which is a small community-based program that seeks to help support children's mental wellness and seeks to help combat adverse childhood experiences. Within that, we also serve people of all ages and are very happy to engage with anyone of any age, size, interest level, but our primary mission is to engage with the children and help kids through potentially difficult patches in their lives, and especially with regard to experiencing connection and bonding and trust building, which you can sometimes do with animals in a way that might not be so easy to do with humans, depending on the situation.
Well, you are the muscle, so to speak, behind Miniature Horsepower. How did you get started? Did you have an epiphany that this is what you wanted to do? How did you kind of launch into starting your program?
I did. That's exactly how it started. There was a light bulb moment, and I was learning a lot about small livestock farming, small diversified livestock farming, and I have a lot of experience and expertise in helping manage dairy goat farms, and I've managed a farm in Chicago. Believe it or not, there's a small dairy goat farm. It's an urban farm in Chicago. And I was hired to manage that farm when their owners were traveling. I've been hired to manage another dairy goat farm when the farmers there are traveling. So it was in the course of working hands-on in a small livestock environment that, first of all, I experienced firsthand the incredibly healing and therapeutic power of engaging with small animals, small farm animals, and raising them. In other words, you're keeping them alive day after day after day. There's a routine to it. It's a wonderfully beneficial experience, especially if you're someone who's spent a lot of time thinking in your head. Prior to my farming explorations, I was an academic. So a big contrast. So in academe, you're very intellectually, engaged, but not necessarily whole body engaged. So it was during the course of farming that, and learning about farming, that I encountered miniature horses for the first time, and it was actually at an auction in south of here in Arthur, Illinois. And when I first saw the miniature horses, I knew that there was something incredibly special about these little animals, and that I just felt it physically. I had a feeling in my gut that there was something profound that could be explored in a therapeutic context or environment with miniature therapy horses. At the time, I just knew them as miniature horses and children. So that was the light bulb moment, and that thought stayed with me and percolated for a good year. And then I learned about a healthcare competition that was being launched by the University of Illinois, by their Carl Illinois College of Medicine. And so the College of Medicine wanted to host a competition where you would pitch an idea for healthcare innovation, and you didn't have to be a healthcare professional. In fact, they were emphasizing that they wanted people from the community to come forward and share insight, pitch an idea, and receive a token which would be worth $10,000 in seed money. So I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and amazingly, the judges decided this was a good idea, that it was worth investing in. And that is really how it was born, as far as bringing the idea to life into reality.
Miniature horses, you talked about starting with being around goats, and then you were introduced to miniature horses. From there, I'm sure you did a lot of research on the horses. So I think it's important to maybe share with our viewers the origin behind the miniature horse.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful question. So often when people encounter a miniature horse, they'll ask you, is that a real breed? They'll ask, is this just the result of farmers or horse breeders just playing with genetics and trying to breed something? Is it a folly? And the fact is, tiny horses have been around for many, many years. So many years that we, in fact, know that the earliest equid, so horse-like animal on this planet, we have their fossils, and they date from almost 60 million years ago, and these fossils show these prehistoric ancestors of the horse to have been tiny. In fact, they were so small, they were about 9 pounds. They were the size of a modern-day house cat. The fossil is the earliest equine ancestor is named Siphropus, which is I think a Greek word, and most of them have been found in Wyoming, the fossils, but we know that the earliest on record types of horses were tiny. So through the millennia, through the ages, horses have grown in stature and apparently have shrunk in stature. So they haven't remained stable. They've kind of grown bigger, grown smaller, grown bigger, grown smaller. We think maybe it has to do with climate change, but at any rate, there are many variations in size, and the larger horses are in fact the result of human breeding interventions so that they could build a stronger horse, a rideable horse. So the story of miniature horses and tiny horses is actually a very old story. But skipping forward to more modern times, we know that they were very popular in the 1600s in Europe. They were a plaything for royalty, a plaything for the children of kings and queens. So we have pictorial records of that, paintings, and we have text records as well. And then if we fast forward to the 19th century, we come to a very interesting chapter in the story of the miniature horse, where they were brought into the mines. The mining industry was really big at that time with the Industrial Revolution, and there was a lot of coal mining. And miniature horses and their cousins, the Shetland ponies, were brought into the mines to pull carts and wagons that big horses couldn't, because some of the mine tunnels were too small for larger beasts of burden. And so this came about because in the mid-19th century, a law was enacted prohibiting the employment of women and children in the mines, in the mining industry. So until that time, children had been doing the grunt work in the very small tunnels, and they were replaced by miniature horses. So minis and Shetland ponies toiled in the mines for a long time. In fact, the records show that it continued right up to the 1970s. It was not an easy life.
Yeah.
These are animals that would be worked very hard and that would rarely, if ever, see daylight. So it's a sad chapter, but at least they saved the children from that same fate.
Well, two animals with a great life are right behind us. Introduce us to your two minis.
Sure.
Special names. So maybe you could just briefly tell us their names and history, and then we're going to dive into more of the work that you do every day.
Sure. So I have two miniature therapy horses. They're both boys. They're both geldings. They're both 6 years old. They're not brothers. They have different parents, but they were born on the same miniature therapy horse breeding farm. So there's a breeder in Ohio who specializes in raising miniature therapy horses. She's called Tiny Mini Horses. And I purchased both of my minis from her back in 2019, right before COVID, and traveled out to Ohio with friends and purchased the two best friends. They were best friends then, and they still are now. And we hauled them all the way back here to Illinois, and they do everything together, as best friends do. So they play together, they quarrel together, they eat together, sleep together, and they're constant companions. And this is normal for horses. It's in the equine nature to be highly bonded to your herd mates. Miniature Horsepower's herd consists of only 2 horses, so this is the smallest number of horses you can have and still be able to provide a sense of herd life to the animal. So yes, being herd animals means they do rely on their herd mates, their peers, on a daily basis, moment-to-moment basis, for not just companionship, but just a variety of survival-related instincts and behaviors, because in the wild, in nature, horses are prey animals. They're always prey animals, but in the wild is where they are going to encounter predators more often than not. So as a prey animal, as prey herd animals, horses are highly evolved in terms of protecting everyone in the group. They have developed a hierarchical role system in the herd where every member of the herd has a function. You'll have a sentinel horse, or horses, depending on the size of a herd, the sentinels will be watching for any danger, any possible approaching threat, while other horses will be resting, maybe sleeping, maybe just resting, and then they'll switch places. And you'll always have a lead horse, a leader horse. So it could be the lead mare, a female, or it could be a lead stallion. That can happen too. The lead horse has exceptional leadership qualities that have been proven, so the entire herd trusts that one animal to make decisions, very important decisions, perhaps in a split-second decision about having to flee due to an oncoming threat. So when you bring horses into an environment like this, where they're in a paddock and you're enclosing them, you are, in a sense, you're curtailing their ability to handle a threat naturally, because horses' first line of escape, shall we say, is to flee. Their superpower is speed, so they will run away. So when farming you know, when farmers come along and we put horses and other prey herd animals in enclosures, we see that they adapt to this environment, but they still very much rely on the herd protector. In our little herd, we have Chiron, the herd protector, and Shifa, who plays the role of the rest of the herd. It's a big job for both of them.
Now, how are they trained? I mean, is that something that they were trained when you got them, or did you work to train them? What makes them desensitized, you know, when they're around a lot of people and in different situations?
Right. So the answer is yes to both. So they were desensitized, and their training began before I acquired them. And even in their first year of life, the breeder who sold them to me, she exposed them to a lot of different human social environments. She brought them to birthday parties. She brought them on visits to memory care facilities, elder care facilities. So they had, right from the get-go, they were experienced in traveling in vehicles and in wearing different tack and you know, gear and vests for and booties for visits, and they had a lot of interaction with humans and with children, so humans of all ages. So that was really important to start them off young, being handled, being touched, being petted, and just interacting with people. And then the training is ongoing and the desensitization is ongoing. You're always training, and there's always going to be a new experience for them to have. So one thing we do is I'll take them to Rural King, a feed store, which is a big chain farm store, and they have an open door policy for miniature horses. Most miniature horse owners know about this. You're welcome to bring your mini into any Rural King store, and you don't even need to give them a heads up, although I always do. And you can bring your mini into that very large store, and it's a really important experience for desensitization, for training. They will experience the automatic opening sliding doors, they'll experience different flooring, they'll experience strangers just coming right up to them. There may even be some dogs in the store. So those are that's an example of an ongoing desensitization training experience. But we do so many visits and host so many visits that the minis have an ongoing desensitization program, if you will. Another important element, of course, is temperament. So not every dog can be a good comfort animal, and not every horse can be a good therapy horse, but they have to have an innate interest in other people, in humans, I should say, and be friendly, be gentle, and reliable.
Your program really kind of hones in and focuses on children. But obviously, you work with all kinds of people from all different backgrounds and ages, but you've probably seen firsthand the success of how these horses interact with young people. And you're smiling. Tell us about what you've seen and what you've witnessed and how it works.
Well, I've witnessed a lot of very impactful encounters between the horses and recipients. Sometimes you'll hear people say, "This has been the best experience of my life," and that's an extremely strong statement, very high praise. Other times the impact might be slightly more subtle, and it's more, you will observe the blossoming in a child, for example, who has the opportunity for repeated, recurrent visits and interactions. You'll see that child's connection with the horse blossom. It'll develop from perhaps initially a resistance. Initially there might even be fear, there might be just pulling away and I'm not interested, which can build into curiosity. And as the child observes the horse and realizes this little horse is a safe companion, is not threatening, not scary, and they'll start to approach. And then over time, especially again over repeated contact, the child can have the opportunity to develop familiarity, to develop trust, to develop connection, to develop a bond, and that becomes a relationship. And the really key element there is trust. Once there's trust between the horse and the human, a very beautiful relationship can develop. So I have seen that happen, and I've seen children who initially were very disinterested, uninterested, develop empathy through their relationship over an entire semester with the minis, to the point where they felt a real sense of responsibility toward the minis' wellness and well-being, and that's been a very beautiful thing to witness. As far as just to mention, why did I choose to work with tiny horses versus large horses? Because I specifically wanted to serve a population that is young, that is children. I wanted to have an animal that was small enough that you could have eye-to-eye eye contact with. I thought that was important, and also it's not intimidating. An important part of the mission is to bring miniature equine facilitated activities and wellness supporting activities to urban children. So urban children, in other words, kids that didn't grow up on a farm, who might not have the comfort level with large animals, with livestock. So again, when you have a horse that is shrunk down to miniature size, you remove that element of very real potential intimidation, that factor.
Well, Sarah, we have about a minute left in our wonderful discussion today at the beautiful farm of the miniature horsepower. Do you have one particular story that just pops out in your head of maybe a group that came here to see the horses, or maybe someplace that you took them, that it was just, the moment was glowing?
Yes, actually, we recently had just such a moment with a group that came from a facility in town, and they actually came on a field trip to us, and one of the group participants was able to have some quiet time, some quality time with the two minis. Well, all members of the group were able to have that, but when this one participant was engaging and just getting to know the two miniature therapy horses, there came a moment when both minis spontaneously, synchronized, began kissing the top of the head of this participant. And it was just an incredible thing to witness, because it went on and on and on, and the person just stayed there immobile, just receiving these kisses. And we hadn't rehearsed this. I haven't trained them to do that kind of thing, but it was a very healing, gentle, caring, and beautiful thing to see, and of course for that individual to experience. And moments like that leave you with no doubt whatsoever about the healing power of equines when they have the opportunity to interact with humans.
Yes, a beautiful way to end this episode of the Paw Report. Thank you so much for your time. Sarah Nixon, the muscle behind the miniature horsepower healing program. Definitely healing. I mean, it's just walking up to the minis just makes your heart smile. So thank you for your time today and for the invite to the property here.
Thank you.
You bet. And we look forward to seeing you again on the Paw Report. Until next time, I'm your host, Kelly Goodwin. If you're a veterinarian, trainer, groomer, specialist, rescue organization, or shelter that would like to partner with the Paw Report by providing expert guests for the show, please contact us by emailing weiu@weiu.net or call 217-581-5956. If you have a topic you'd like to see on the show or questions for our experts, contact us with those too.
Dave's Decorating Center is a proud supporter of the Paw Report on WEIU. Dave's Decorating Center features the Mohawk Smart Strand Silk Forever Clean Carpet. Dave's Decorating Center, authorized Mohawk Color Center in Charleston.
The Paw Report on WEIU is supported by Rural King, America's farm and home store, livestock feed, farm equipment, pet supplies, and more. You can find your store and more information regarding Rural King at ruralking.com.
The Castle in Mattoon, Illinois, a gaming bar serving the Mattoon area since 1929. Full bar, draft beer, allocated bourbons, rotating daily specials, APA pool leagues, darts, and more. Monthly craft cocktail nights, open mic nights, and karaoke weekly. The Castle's lineup of concerts and events are on their Facebook.